code, it can transfer some sort of data, so it's good practice to include there. And then the event handler there, and you'll notice now in CS5 I'm using here, it actually closes down the event handler automatically for me there, so that just in line 8 you'll see it's there. It's closed down the event handler. And in here I can write whatever I like. So we're just going to trace something in our output. So trace, if you don't know, will bring up something in my output window, and I'm going to trace the word true. Let's see this work then. And there we go. So we know our button's working now. So from here on, it's very simple to adapt that code and put it. Oh, I almost pressed F9 then again to bring up the actions. It's very easy to adapt that code and make something like a simple 4-page web site, like you'll see on some of my other tutorials. For instance, from here, let's just make it go to frame 2. So under here, I'm going to create a new layer. Let's call that pages. And here, I'm just going to write 1, so we can see it physically change from number 1, and insert a keyframe here to number 2. And what I'm going to do here, remember when you add keyframes in, keyframes are point of changes. So for our pages here, they're going to change from page 1 to page 2. But for our buttons, they're not going to change. You know, our buttons, if we were going to have more than one button and stuff, they shouldn't change. They should carry the code and just remain on the page here. I mean, it depends on your website, but this should remain on the page. So if I move that up there, that's going to be our button. That's going to, when we press it, and that's just one large frame, and these are keyframes, points of change. And now, if I go back to my actions layer, I can't help pressing F9. I've become addicted to it now. So let's do it without pressing F9. Actions. And from here, what we're going to do is go to and stop frame 2. Publish that, Control and Enter. Now, at the moment, you can see that that's flashing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And if you're new to Flash, the reason for that is Flash works in loops. If I actually press the button now, it will stop on frame 2 because we have the go to and stop 2. But because Flash is working in loops, what it's essentially doing on the timeline here is going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 really fast like that. So what we need to do as well at our code is we need to also put a stop in here somewhere. So you can put a stop anywhere you like. I generally put the stop after all the imports of the Flash mouse events. You'll also notice actually as well, this is something important to Flash CS5, is that the import Flash events, mouse events, is entered automatically as soon as you start putting these in. That's quite important. An earlier version of CS4 that I was using didn't do that, so if it hasn't done that, you do need to put that in as well. So import Flash mouse events, and what that does is in ActionScript 2 it would generally put all the events in that you're using. In this, Flash runs quite light and lean, so what it does is it will put only those events in that are to do with the mouse events, because that's all we're using here. So Flash will put all the functionality to do with that built into it. Right, if I press enter there, I'm just going to put it so you can see it quite clearly. Stop, open bracket, close bracket, and semicolon. And now, press enter, and there we go. So that's going from frame 1 to frame 2. So that's basically it. You create your button, you give it an instance name. From the timeline, create an ActionScript layer, and in that you call your instance name and add the listener. You tell it what type of listener, so in this case we used a mouse event. We told it we're going to click. Obviously there's other types there as well you could have. And then here is the function name. We then have the function, which is called pressed here, function pressed. We declared that it was a mouse event that that function was looking out for. This is to do with the data that it can hold, whether we're going to carry data over. And here we create a function the event, sorry, which is going to go to and stop frame 2. And that's about it for buttons there. So if you've done that, what I'd like to challenge you to try and do is try and just make a 4-page website which just goes to frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4 from that code. And then you'll be in good stead for learning ActionScript 3. Thank you very much.